Is the West truly committed to punishing Russia for its invasion of Ukraine, or are they playing it safe? Is the United States-led anti-Russia coalition targeting Moscow where it truly hurts, or are they being cautious along with their European partners? Evidently, it is. Why is that? Because while Europe suffers miserably after having been choked by Russia of essential natural gas supplies, it is continuing to import large amounts of Russian uranium. The same is the case with the United States. And listen carefully, folks. What I plan to share with you in this video is startling. The West is waging a convenient economic war against Russia that could backfire. Now, ask yourself this. Why would the United States under the Biden administration place sanctions on Russia, barring all sorts of trade and commerce from taking place, but the United States still continues to allow the importation of uranium from Russia? I think the answer is pretty clear. The United States knows that Russia has us by the cojones from an energy standpoint, and while the United States engages in a proxy war through the Ukraine, the US continues to send billions upon billions of dollars to Russia for premium quality uranium. What is uranium used for, you ask? Oh, just nuclear power plants, no big deal, right? But Putin, he's no fool. Putin knows that he has the power to create a significant grid down blackout scenario for a large part of the United States at any moment. Now, before we continue, for your daily dose of the truth, please consider subscribing to the channel. And due to the nature of what I'm about to share with you guys, this video is very likely to be suppressed. So please leave a like for this video to help this information get out there to those who need to know about this. All right, let's continue. So at this point, pretty much any reasonable American would probably be wondering, is Washington and the Biden administration preparing to take steps to limit the impact of their anti-Russia campaign on the American economy and energy security? The demand is massive for nuclear fuel for the purpose of electricity generation. And what's insane is that the United States, where 20% of the households get their electricity from nuclear energy, nearly 100% of it is imported from Kazakhstan and from Russia, two of the most dangerous countries to rely on for supply of it. Don't believe me? Here, listen to Senator John Brazo during a conference with United States Secretary of Energy Jennifer Granholm.
Currently, there are only two entities capable of producing high-assay, low-enriched uranium. One is the Department of Energy, the other is Russia.
That means that at any moment, Putin could quite literally cut off the United States and wipe out the power grid that supplies electricity to approximately 66 million American households.
So, Mr. Secretary, give us a sense from 2 points of view. One is the industry in the United States, that is the uranium production industry, what it does for them, but then also longer term, strategically for the United States and its energy policy, what does it do for the United States?
Well, energy policy has several important components. One is national security. There's obviously a national security risk to the degree that our electric power industry depends upon Russia as a source of its raw material. There's an even more direct national security risk as our Navy depends on foreign sources such as Russia for the nuclear submarines that we have going about in the ocean. And so the way to deal with all that is to have a healthier domestic industry.
I want you to fully digest what Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross just explained. This is alarming to say the least. Not only are a significant number of Americans depending on Russia for power, but so does our military, specifically our Navy. So is our government just asleep at the wheel and simply ignoring this massive national security risk, or are they going to do something about it?
What steps are you taking to ensure that TerraPower and X-Energy don't have to rely on Russia to fuel these initial reactor cores?
Yeah, we agree that we need to develop that supply of HALEU, and the budget requests $33 million in that regard to start that process.
So it's clear that even our U.S. government knows that this national security threat needs to be addressed. And with the recent data that I've collected regarding the energy coalition between Russia, China, and the BRICS nation, it's becoming painfully clear that the United States and Europe are both running out of time and will be left in the dust. And speaking of time, timing is everything when it comes to a lot of things. I mean, take the stock market, for example. If you get in at the right time, just before a stock explodes, you're in for a great payday. But it's not just stocks though. Timing is important in sports, in entertainment, and most especially in music. And funny enough, it reminds me of how music can be extremely profitable. Have you ever heard of royalties when it comes to music? I've seen bands and artists that have one-hit wonders and they make money off of it for the rest of their lives. Do any songs ring a bell for you guys? But imagine if you were someone like Michael Jackson. Not many people know this, but Michael was a good businessman. Despite the fact that he spent money like there was no tomorrow, the king of pop was great at stacking up his money and ensuring that much more of it would follow. He was so aware of the potential growth of royalties that he put up to $47.5 million of his own money back in 1985 to buy a publishing catalog that had many songs from other popular artists. After a decade, he almost doubled his initial investment as Sony paid him $90 million for half of the rights. And even after his untimely passing, Jackson continues to make a huge amount of income through royalties that came from his very wise investments. To date, his estate continues to make around $362 million a year. And just to put that into perspective, that's the equivalent of making $30 million a month, around $1 million every single day, which would make his hourly pay about $42,000 an hour. How would you like to make that kind of money per hour, right? Song royalties could be one of the best investments he ever made. And that's because royalties last forever. And it's a sure way to earn income for the rest of your life. Now, what does this have to do with investing in the stock market? Well, if you compare the value of these royalties to the initial price that Jackson paid for them, he got an increase of value of around 3,000%. And it dwarfs the 1,650% return on Class A shares of Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway since 1990. Imagine having an even better investment than Warren Buffett himself. Global investments in nuclear energy are projected to average well over $100 billion per year through mid-century. So it stands to reason that if we have a product that's connected to royalties, its potential for cash flow is incredibly high, and the income generated could be paid out in perpetuity. But rewards like these are only possible if you get in early enough. I'd like to introduce Uranium Royalty Corporation and thank them for being a supporter and sponsor of today's video. And as an investor, this opportunity is sure to excite you. This is one of those rare opportunities, and it comes at a time when you can buy at the ground floor before everyone else gets word of it. In January 2020, the first company of its kind in the uranium industry went public. The first ever and only uranium royalty company. The most profitable and effective business model in the commodities sector, and that company is Uranium Royalty Corp. Ticker symbol UROY. It already owns 15 royalties, with 2 of them resuming production, so they'll be generating income for Uroy, or ticker symbol UROY, very soon, and the partners it has on its properties are the best companies in the sector. Not only that, Uroy is now at the front row and the driver's seat to be the go-to funding partner for new mines and new royalties. Earlier in this video, multiple leaders of our nation have already confirmed the threat that continuing to rely on importing uranium from Russia and the threat it presents to our country. This cannot continue, and I'm pretty sure that you guys can see where this is going. And it appears that Uranium Royalty Company is in a prime position to capitalize on a potentially parabolic demand spike. Well, it will be a big deal if things worsen between our country and theirs. And if things escalate, which is a huge probability, we may completely lose out on getting uranium from Russia, which in turn affects a sizable chunk of our energy here at home. But hey, be thankful that we have Uranium Royalty, as they are already working to capitalize on the growth spurt of uranium production. Currently, there are 0 actively mining mines in the United States. And while the mining industry may have royalty companies, the uranium space only has 1 uranium company that has royalties. 1. With nuclear power plants producing around 20% of our electricity in the United States, it is shocking just to think that we're not mining more of this stuff domestically on our own soil. You want to hear something funny? Uranium production in some parts of our country has become so small since the year 2020 that it's now become too small to report, and it continues to trend downward, prompting a possible spike in demand down the road. So think of it this way. Imagine you saw the potential with the Jackson 5 and you got to sign Michael Jackson before he became the king of pop. Or maybe you discovered and signed Freddie Mercury before he changed his name and formed Queen. Or perhaps you discovered and signed Elton John in the 1960s before his big break, before his notoriety. And then fast forward to today, Elton John has sold well over 300 million records worldwide. Are you guys seeing the pattern here? The only way to get in on phenomenal opportunities like these for pennies on the dollar is by getting in early before everyone else knows about it. This is the only uranium royalty portfolio that is trading in the stock market today. Now, if you're bullish on uranium, just imagine the possibilities. Now, to put this into perspective, Bruce Springsteen, the boss, he sold his master recordings and music publishing rights to Sony for a whopping $500 million. The potential to have bought it for cheap was 50 years ago, but since he's now gained fame and has a reputation reputation, the value of his royalties jumped to staggering heights. And of course, Sony knew what they were doing. They bought it for this much as his music was making $15 million a year. The opportunity with uranium royalty today could be likened to you being the only record company back in the 1950s. No competition, ground floor potential, and you would be the first to license music for all these upcoming artists who later went on to earn millions and millions of dollars through royalties. And you would earn from all of that in the future and more. But again, you'd have to get in early. There's no sense in signing someone like Bruce Springsteen now, as you probably know, you probably won't be able to afford him. And the same can be said for this stock, as analysts are predicting a 100% increase of its price. What happens when the smart money of Wall Street gets wind of this stock? You already know the answer to that. U.S. Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm confirmed that the United States has a goal to reach 100% carbon pollution-free electricity by 2035. Just a few months back, California regulators passed rules banning the sale of new gas-powered cars by 2035. It is clear that the United States is moving in a new direction. Imagine that a brand new country is now created and it has no roads, and you own the only company that will build the roads and charge for all the tolls using them, and it's the only player in the market. Another beautiful fact about uranium royalty is that they're also investing in physical uranium, an element that our country will soon need once more conflicts erupt, and they've already invested $80 million into it. The government already knows about this, and the company has sold some to them on an as-needed basis. Why? Because they understand that this is the highest quality uranium in the world. And since the company's IPO, it has shot up by 150% without debt, massive liquidity, and a blue ocean with no competitors, as again, this is the only one of its kind at the moment. I'm telling you all of this now because they are for sure to have competitors soon enough. Uranium Royalty Company now has their own balance sheet of 1.5 million pounds of U3O8, and they'll keep buying more, taking supply off the market, and there are more groups doing the same thing. This is a bet, and a very calculated one, that we either have more uranium production or the lights go out. The company spends $0 drilling, $0 developing, $0 mining, extracting, refining, hauling, and owns no caterpillars, no helicopters, no rigs, no equipment, and no dirt. The leadership at Uranium Royalty Corporation know a lot about how mining companies make money. They make agreements like when a Sony boss wants to buy all the songs by Bruce Springsteen or Bob Dylan. But instead of waiting many years and paying lots of money for it, they buy the rights to old music from the 1960s before these guys were legends, and they pay pennies on the dollar. This is how big of an opportunity this is with Uroy. Take note of their ticker on the screen. Now, at the time of this recording, the Uranium Royalty Corporation stock is just over $2 a share. Analysts have a price target of $5.70 for this stock. Think about the energy crisis that we have today, and just how much uranium the United States is buying from Russia. Your potential income from royalties could be incredible as the mine continues to produce, making your cash flow consistent and strong. That is something that many investors should be looking at. The way I see it, this company is still a seed, but this seed is going to grow into a tree, and when it does, you don't have to say to yourself that you were one of the few who knew about this stock's potential but chose to shy away from it. Now, if you're a serious investor and you believe that this is a good opportunity, comment what's the one thing that you like most about this company. And as I do with most all of my videos, I will be reading all of your comments. Let's call this comment section the investors comment section. I'll leave a link for you guys in the description down below for you to check out Uranium Royalty Corporation. Again, their ticker symbol is UROY. And if any of you guys want more information about them, make sure to let your voice be heard as well, as I will do my best to get their CEO in one of our future videos to answer most all of your questions. Now, before I go, guys, please don't forget to drop a like for this video, share this video with some like-minded individuals who are looking to invest in rare opportunities, and also subscribe for more information and knowledge like this in the future. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you on the next one.